It's a Super Pinda. Who's got their Super Pinda in the mail? It's so super. It's funny, it's the same thing. So Super Pinda and Mini Plus Upgrade are the exact same thing, if you didn't know. So Mark Owens got his. Mickey, I'm doing great. It's been a good day. Fixed a couple printers for a buddy of mine. Got 4 of these upgrades. I'm going to do one right now. If you have a SKR Bear and you bought the LDO upgrade connector, so basically you just plug your Pinda 2 in here and it's got the wires already separated for you for easy connection. Fun fact, the wire layout is the same. What's up, Dan? So it is brown, blue, black. What's up, Kyle Davis? Thank you for the $2 for tacos. So let's see, it is still brown, blue, black, and the white doesn't get used, so you can still use the old wire, just don't plug this into the thermistor. And it looks, what's up? Can't touch this, in a strange way of spelling that. What's up, Sergio? So yeah, other than that, it is exactly the same probe. It is just a probe. The only thing that I've been able to read on it, and what was posted by Prusa, was it is an inductive probe that doesn't sway when it heats up or cools down, so it has no drift. And that's kind of cool because it does that without the thermistor. So if you remember, the Pinda 1 was just a decent inductive sensor, but it drifted. So if you finished a print and you try to print another one, the live Z would change because it was warm and it would read a different reading than it would when it was, you know, cool or room temperature or halfway in between. So if you printed PET G and the bed was at 80, you'd get a different probe reading versus reading the bed at 60 and so on and so forth. And then they made the Pinda 2, which came out with the Mark III. And the Pinda 2 added the white cable, which is the thermistor cable. The thermistor cable allowed it to read what temperature the Pinda probe was at. It did help drift, but it wasn't perfect. So now we have the third, there's a Minda. We won't talk about the Minda because the Minda is just a Pinda 1 with an M. Now we have the third incarnation of Prusa's Pinda probe, the Super Pinda, which apparently, the Minda drift caused all kinds of, the Minda drift is pretty crazy because it's just a dumb probe and it's highly affected. And I feel that Prusa knew that they were coming out with this, but didn't have it ready. So this apparently needs absolutely nothing to make it work and not drift. So it's just a dumb probe. No thermistor reading. It doesn't need any special readings, but you get driftless probing, which is awesome because some of us print multiple prints in a row. Some of us print once in a while, and it sucks having to continuously change your live Z/Z offset if you're in the Marlin land. I don't have any stock Prusas, but I have Prusa Bear with SKR board running stock Marlin. So I have some cool advantages here. First, I'm going to just run a piece of cleaning film in here. I have not, this is my normal printer for printing a whole bunch of carbon fiber PETG. So it hasn't had the love it deserves lately. So I just want to clean it out of any gunk and such that may be trapped in there. That way it doesn't clog up and do anything unfortunate during the stream. So I'm just going to purge it one time. That's warm, by the way. Grabbing hot filament is my favorite. It's almost as fun as grabbing a fresh heat block. So that's done. We're going to go ahead and let that cool down. So temperature, cool down. And while that's going on, I'm going to do one test. And it's hard to show because you can't really see the screen. But stock Marlin has a feature called probe repeatability test. So it can test the probe and give you a reading of how accurate it is. So let's go ahead and do that now and see if there's going to be any difference. So motion and M48 probe test. So it's just going to do a whole bunch of probes, and it's going to tell me the deviation between each probe. And we'll write that down somewhere. Ooh, Ender 5 Core XY mod. So deviation is 0.006239. So let's go ahead and type that in. Hopefully someone can save that. 006239 is the deviation. Well, that is correct. It's just telling me the deviation between each probe. That's all it's telling me. But we're going to see if that's going to be any different between this and the Pinda using the exact same, or the Super Pinda and using the same settings. So let's jump over to Marlin real quick. Right side. So we're in Marlin here, so we need to change some things. So if we scroll down, well, first thing we'll do is, this printer's name is Beetlejuice. And where is it? We'll go right here and type in Super Pinda. Scroll down. And one of the things that changes is there is a probe sensor right here. So this probe sensor that I've highlighted is set to 1, and that is the type of thermistor that was in the probe. We set that to 0 now. There is no more probe in the sensor. And that literally should be the only change that this firmware needs. Everything else is correct. Yes, all my printers are 80s themed. So Beetlejuice, Slimer, Lurch, Johnny 5, Elvira, and Red Sonja are all behind me. That's it. Literally, we just have to disable that probe. There is nothing else, or disable the thermistor in that probe. Everything else will stay the same. There's one change I need to make on this printer that I did incorrectly, so I'm just going to do that as well, which won't affect anything. My fast load length is too long. It only needs to be 100 millimeters. So those are the two changes I'm going to make in the firmware. Let's go ahead and build. And it shouldn't freak out because we only changed something that is pretty simple to change. Having all transformer names is the best. High CPU usage detected. Of course there's high CPU usage because I'm making a firmware, and that takes up all of my cores. Okay. Done cleaning out that filament. So we did a deviation test. We know how supposedly repeatable that probe is in one spot. And let's go ahead and view changes, stage all changes. And we're going to go ahead and write a summary here for my changes as Super Pinda. Added Super Pinda. Commit. Push. And there we go. My firmware is now live. So if you go look at the Beetlejuice firmware on my GitHub, you'll see the change that was done between it. Let's see here. And let's go here. And let's pull the SD card out of here. And let's go to Documents, GitHub, Marlin, PathIO, Build, LPC 1769. And let's go ahead and move that firmware over. Let's see here. Thank you, Mars Gizmo. Yeah, my tutorials. Not much of a tutorial. It's more just swapping some things. I know people are going to use this. I know a bunch of people bought these for stock Marlin printers. What's up, Greg? So we have a thumb drive installed. Looks like it's under I. Yep. So we're going to copy the bin file, go over the drive, paste the bin file, and delete the CUR file. Yes. Go back and eject. And I am a stickler for the ejecting. You could just pull that out if you so desire. But I'm a stickler for making sure I hit the eject key. And boom. That's it. That's all we had to change in the SKR firmware to supposedly make this thing work. And we'll find out. I could be very wrong. Okay. Thanks to Keith, there's an auto updater in here. So hit the screen and custom commands. Scroll down to firmware updater. Click to update printer. Oh shit, Dan. Thank you, Mr. Dan. And it should change my light colors here in a second. Yep, there we go. Firmware is updated. I don't want to hit the reset button on the screen. I prefer doing it the way Keith showed me, and we made that custom menu for it. So I'm going to do a quick measurement on the cable length. I guess we'll do a whole length. So approximately 820 millimeters. And I should have a stock Pinda in one of these drawers. There it is. Where's my stock Pindas? Yep, here's a stock Pinda 1. Here is a Pinda 2. Nope, this is a Minda. So let's see if the Minda is any different in length. Same length, 820 millimeters. Oh, the old original Pinda. Yep, that is an original Pinda probe. All right, let's get to taking this thing apart. So this should just be a super simple swap. So we'll power down, pull the power cord. Always pull your power cord, folks. Let's start in the back. We need to open up the case. One of the things I should have done is raise the Z-axis, because you can't reach the case without removing the Z-axis. All right. Now this is Barry Danks's SKR case, so it just has 4 screws. You pop those off, and it's very roomy. It's like a game. What's up, Dan Steffi? Hamburger, please. Supersize it. Oh, yeah. Ooh, WFO Writer with a tough question. Will the Super Pinda get better every time I probe it? Yes, and we do have an all-in-one firmware for SKR project brought to you by the amazing super genius known as This is Keith, who's also known as the voice on the Discord. And we'll disconnect this cable holder. Again, this should be a pretty easy removal because this is a bare case, so I don't need to like swap any crazy major parts. All right, and this one already has a Pinda connector. So all I gotta do is disconnect the LDO quick disconnect, pull this cable around, and time to do some cable snipping. Because if you've been following along with the SKR project, Jason from LDO helped make a conversion kit. So there's breakout cables for all of the things, so you don't have to do too much crimping and cutting. You just put new connectors on. Always disconnect your wire to the filament sensor before removing the back, because that needs to come off. I need a behind-the-scenes camera, or like a camera I can mount on stuff. One day. One day. And this printer has not had much love to it. I mean, it is. This is the workhorse. If you've ever gotten CF PETG parts, this printer most likely printed most of those parts. Okay. Pull that out. And I don't have a cable. Like a head-mounted camera, that would be hilarious. All right, that is an original Pinda 2. Okay. So as you can see, if we grab the Super Pinda, they went back to the black tip. Well, it depends. There were black tip Pinda 2s that were stock. They were, and there were gray ones like this. But size and shape, exactly the same. Cable length. Oh. Cable length is longer than the stock Mark III, which makes sense because the Prusa Mini has a longer cable bundle than the Mark III. What's up, Mr. Buttram? And the only way you can tell a difference is one has 4 cables, one has 3, but they are still 4-pin Molex SL cables. Just one has 3 cables, one has 4. So we know that this one goes into my box of extra probes right here, and it's home. Goodbye. Let's go ahead and do that backwards. So it goes under, turn it so we can see, and move me towards the center. Move over, keyboard. You are unnecessary at the moment. Slide all these goodies over. So right underneath this belt, cable go through. And Prusa also included, I think, a dozen. So 2, 4, 6, 8. They included 10 zip ties, which we'll use 3 or 4 zip ties to redo everything. So there's a zip tie here that holds everything together. We'll go ahead and put that in there. This comes underneath, up and around the zip tie, down the hole, and I will loosely tighten the Pinda because that's going to get adjusted when I can see it better. Goes through this mount. Yeah, everyone smash that like button. See if we can make this the most liked video I've ever done. Okay. Cable's in place, and you want to leave some extra so that way you can go up and down. Again, if you have the Prusa manual for installing this, there's no difference. Just has different firmware on here. All right, let's go back through my cable bundle. Oh, that loosened up over time. There we go. You know, one thing I never did, and I really should have, is glue this darn piece of nylon into the slot. We're going to do that today.
Chris, will it help switching the camera to the top one?
No. Top one only goes to like here.
Okay.
Thank you, Thaneth. Yeah, the Mark IIs, there's a breakout cable, so you can put it on there so it runs. Ben Gadget, let me see here. Check to the Super Pinda. Yes, the Super Pinda is exactly the same for the Mark III and the Mini. There we go. Glue that into place. Let's run it back to the cable bundle. This is such an easy swap. I like just changing one thing. A little bit of firmware love. One easy cable connection swap. Happy kid. What's up, Gear 3D? Man, I gotta love that changing a probe is literally, what, we're 20 minutes in. I've already done the firmware and the probe. Thanks, Sean Evans. Let's see. I have the MK3S with Mosquito, Magnum, and Bontech. Should I stick with the Bontech firmware? Yeah, definitely. If you're running a stock INC board, run that Bontech firmware. And they will be updating it for the Super Pinda, or they might have already done that. I have not followed along. Okay, and now I just do everything in reverse order, which is the horseshoe. The best upgrade ever is this dang horseshoe. So it allows you to remove the back plate without having to run the cables through it. Thank you, Greg and the Bear Project. Because if y'all remember doing that on the stock Prusa, it is a pain to change things. Now, one of the things that you have to do is the cables want to not line up in their little slots. So I grab a little tool and make sure they stay in their slots when you put this back plate on. One, you don't want to pinch them, and two, you don't want them dragging where the pulleys and belts are, because that's just an unhappy time. Okay. That should do it. Okay. 2 screws underneath. What's up, Viking? The biggest benefits, so I've done the SKR projects. Your biggest benefits are you're going to get better fan options, better cooling because all the fans are much more powerful than what comes stock. You have better firmware. Mind you, Prusa will eventually get to 32-bit boards and better steppers, but you kind of get to be on the advanced end of the curve, I guess. Just got home. What's up, Ryan Thorpe? And Tripod. Man, we got the whole club in here. It's shenanigans all over again. Okay. And then we need zip ties. Make sure your zip ties end with the butt end of the zip tie facing this way. If they face this way, it will bump into the frame, whether it's a Bear or a regular stock Prusa, when it's trying to home. So 1 zip tie, 2 zip tie, yeah, there's plenty. They give you 10, which is more than enough to replace all the zip ties that you remove. In case you I guess do it wrong, which is completely a possibility. I mean, I have built these things wrong, and if I can build them wrong, I guarantee anyone can build them wrong. And I even put an extra zip tie in the back here. Completely unnecessary. I use a looser split loom. Snip, snip, snip. And what you can't see is the wiring, which all I'm doing for the wiring is taking the Pinda cable, and I already have one of these breakout wires. So I got 5 volt and signal plus ground already in there, and I'm just plugging it into the old receptacle. Boom. Because the SKR board has a different pinout. And let's just go in reverse order, replacing everything. Number 1, cable bundle holder. Okay. Next cable bundle holder screw. Whoop. Yep, SKR 1.4 is nice. Keith's getting me kind of hooked on the MKS Gen L V2 because they did some cosmetic changes that should really benefit the end user. Did I grab the wrong screw lengths? That would be something Chris would do, because that one's not reaching. This one should reach. Oh, you know what? Need to use my little secret trick for holding that in. Press it with that. Yep, that worked. Press it with that. Haha! We did it. So I'm going to leave the electronics box open in case I need to do any wiring or anything. I don't think I do. I shouldn't. And that should do it. I mean, that's literally it. Oh, MKS S Gen L. That's what it's called. All right, let's do a double check. That is tied. That is tied. Pinda's at the incorrect height. Haven't snipped this wire yet. Or wire. This fancy little zip tie. Okay. And then what we'll do is, once I get it together, I'll do a gantry homing. So that will level my gantry because I bumped it. And I can even skew it more. Yeah, that should be it. See if it starts on fire or not. Nope, no fire. Okay. So first, let's make sure the probe works. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Motion and Auto Home. And I'm going to grab a piece of metal. And let's go ahead and take a look to make sure it's powered on. Yep, red light's on, red light's off. So it is reading. But let's do an Auto Home. And I'm going to make sure that it triggers before I go too far. Yep, it triggers. So let's turn it this way. And we're going to lower that probe down. Make sure it's going to, you know what, that's almost in the right spot by eye. So I'm going to go ahead and do a full-on home. Motion, Auto Home. I wish I had a desk that went out this way. I should work on that. So we're just going to do an Auto Home. I'll make sure the probe height is correct. And then I'm going to go ahead and calibrate the Z-axis, and then we'll do a repeatability test. Okay. Let's make sure the probe height is correct. And all I'm going to do is use a zip tie, and I'm going to lower the Pinda down to the thickness of a zip tie. Oh yeah, I that is a little bit off. But it was high enough to trigger. Okay. Done. So now the probe is lowered. Let's go ahead and auto home again. Turn it towards everyone. Motion, auto home. I don't even know if I'm going to print anything. I can try. Okay, so it homed, and now we're going to do an X calibration. So let's do a Z-axis calibration here. And all it's doing is probing each side, making sure that the gantry is actually level. Yep, so it actually moved one side by itself. It's pretty neat. What's up, Shane? Iteration 4. Iteration 5. Accuracy achieved. Okay, now let's do a fade height didn't save. Fade height is going to be 10. Boom. M48 probe test. Z offset wizard. That's next. Come on, calm down. Ooh, here's the new deviation. I am typing it into the chat. Where's my mouse? 0. That is the new deviation. That means nothing, but that's the new deviation. It is, by all intents purposes, using math better, but that doesn't mean anything. So we went from 0.006 to 0.001, which is what I consider more in line with the BL Touch running very slowly. That's about the same accuracy as I get. That's good. That's a positive. Okay, let's put the super glue away. We're going to keep clearing off this desk so I don't have things to trip over. And then now we're going to do something really cool. This thing is super fancy. So you click the button and you go to configuration. And I believe it's in advanced settings. And where's that? Probe offsets. There is a Z probe wizard now. So Z probe wizard will probe. You then lower the nozzle to the bed and hit save, and that is your Z offset. But first thing we're going to do is make sure we clear it. Yes, Z offset is 0. So Z probe wizard, it's going to home XYZ. And then using your eyeballs, you will lower the nozzle to the bed, and that will be your Z probe offset. Now I have a base offset of 0.4 already added because it's always going to be a little bit lower than that. Ryan Thorpe, I did not. So it looks like it needs some love. So we're just going to lower that down right there. Okay. And done. Boom. The offset is done. That's it. No print, no test, and we'll see if that works. So everything seems to be working. So I'm going to go to advanced settings and configuration, and we're going to go ahead and save these settings. Go to main, info screen. I am not going to sell the original probes. I always keep backups, and I only bought 4, and I need 8 probes. So I usually keep them. I also help fix a couple friends' printers, and they have stock Prusas, so I keep those because people tend to break those for some reason. So we're just going to put 2 screws in the case. I'll put the rest of the screws in later. Yeah, they are out of stock. You know what? I'm here. I'm going to put all 4 screws in. Why not? Okay. And there's the last screw. Click, click. Haha. Also got that built in. So instead of long pressing like on your stock Prusa, double click in stock Marlin when enabled will move your Z axis for you. Okay. Case is attached. I guess we'll do a print. Do I have a roller? I got a roller. Let's slice something. Something flat. Something flat and won't take a while. Oh boy. I don't think I have that on my computer anymore.
Your coin maker?
The maker coin is flat. The only issue I have with the maker coin is it takes an hour to print. An hour to print is not something I want to sit here for. Justin 3D, talk to Keith. Keith is your man for BT002 firmwares. Gingerbread man. Yeah, so BL Touch, so everyone's affected differently. So BL Touch is affected by, since it's a Hall effect sensor, it tends to be affected by not only magnetism, and a lot of people are switching to magnetic beds, but it's also affected by like moon phase and solar flares. But it tends to be more reliable. It's just very slow. Inductive sensors have the same accuracy as a BL Touch, but at the expense of, or at the perk of being faster. So they both have their pluses and minuses. Now, if you're going to print on glass and not use like a spring steel sheet, yeah, heck yeah, get yourself a BL Touch, because an inductive probe won't do you any good on a printer that doesn't have a piece of metal on it. My issue with the BL Touch is if it does not work, the BL Touch will kill itself. The little pin will be out, and it's like, I don't feel like working, and it's like pin breaks. And it's pretty rare, but it does happen, and that's my one gripe is it will do suicide on itself if it feels like it at one day, because it's like, I don't want to work. But I do prefer the BL Touch. One thing that's nice about these inductive sensors is they can be smaller, and they can be a much lighter. Ooh, capacitive probe. So I've never tested a capacitive probe, so I'm probably the worst person to ask of an opinion on that. Let me grab a spool of, here we go, atomic graphite. Oh, focus. You can focus, camera. Really? Really? You're not going to focus? There it is. That's their graphite, cosmic graphite PLA. It's so nice. This is not the way I normally run my filament. This one has a vanadium nozzle from Slice Engineering, because I tend to print only CFPTG on this printer. M310. And this.
You should read such a bad person question.
How did you manage to get such a fast homing? I have. If you checked out our the custom firmware I have for the SKR, That will probably tell you, because I have the same speeds on all of them. What's up, Llama? So let's do change filament and load filament and preheat for PLA. Okay, let's find something to slice. And let's open up a new window.
Does your lure count? You're searching for something to print your lure?
No, it's something flat. Boy. PrusaPrinters.org. What's up, Ben Brady? So let's see here. Let's search for Batman logo. Those are usually pretty flat. Ah, there it is. The Batman Batarang. Perfectly flat. Download. And what? 3MF file. Whatever. Save file. Save. Idea maker. Boop. Import models. And downloads. Batman 3MF. Yeah, I don't know why they hate STLs, but they do. All right, and start slicing. And there's a difference on this printer. Continue. I have no idea what the E steps are on this printer. Ooh, I can do that from here. Configuration, advanced settings, steps per millimeter, and 830, which should be the same steps as that printer. Perfect. So SKR PLA version 2.5, slice, 27 minutes. Let's take a preview, make sure that's going to look good. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay.
Mark John has a nice question for you.
Do you plan on updating SKR firmware for the Zerabo? It already is updated to 2.0.72. But we're launching. I'm not launching. Keith has done all the work by himself without any help from me to making an all-in-one firmware. So basically, you just tell him what you have in a little text document, and it pumps out the firmware for whatever you have. So go to the GitHub, and there is an auto builder. So you just download it. Keith's got documentation for it. He's the man. So export. Put the thumb drive in there. And Keith just shared the link again. And SKR PLA _ Batman. Save.
Thank you, Keith.
See, I would like to see the M48 test prior to Z calibration and then again after. I have nothing for a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, but that is stuff I want to work on. My goal this off season is to definitely get more printers in my hand and also make more profiles. I've already pumped out a ton of new Idea Maker profiles. Just a ton. So let's go to print for media, Batman G code, and oh, that's right. You want to see an M48 before I do that. Main, motion, M48 probe test. Thanks, Jim, and much love to you, sir. Chris is going to get tacos this weekend, for sure. Dude, there's so many Idea Maker profiles that I don't know if you guys seen the updates. I think I'm now at like a dozen. Same point 0.0019 this time versus 0.0016. So we're still within range. So, and the bed is warmer, the head's warmer. So let's go to the print. Print for media, SKR, PLA, Batman, G-code, print. Eric, I switched to Idea Maker because tool paths were better. I had some issues with certain parts that I printed in Prusa Slicer, ended up having defects in the surface layers. Switching to Idea Maker made them go away. Plus supports were and still are in some way superior. I like the paint on support. I love that feature, but supports are like 10 times better. Not 100, not 50, about 10 times better in Idea Maker. There's other things I really like about it. Then there's some things I definitely don't like about it. But the nice thing about Idea Maker is I have direct connection with a couple of the devs, and when you express concerns, they at least listen to it. It is not open source, which is a downfall. I tend to prefer to support open source projects, but you know. Yep. And the supports have gotten better. So Llama, they did the thing, you know how they used to like overdo the supports, like you put a support somewhere and then there's like it would expand. Justin 3D, you know, the reason Prusa Slicer is better for Prusa printers because they took the time and effort to make profiles specifically for their printers. And there is nothing else in Prusa Slicer that's better for a Prusa style printer. It's just they have what 800 Mark IIIs running and probably like 100 or 200 minis running. So when they test for a profile, they have a large a number of printers that no other company does that. Another company, I don't think Creality or anybody goes, let's take 100 Crealities and make an awesome profile. They're just like, this works. So do you know when I am using stock Marlin to produce power supply with power out recovery? Power out recovery. I don't have it working because the capacitors in the Prusa power supply don't hold enough current to support that. So every time I've tried it, it's failed. Yeah, and of course, I got 49-point leveling.
I've got it working, but it does require like with the SKR boards, it does require BTT's 24-volt recovery module, which has significantly more capacitance than the Delta supply. Now, in theory, the BTT002 board can be recovered with the stock power supplies power recovery module, but I have not tested that yet because my BTT board is still sitting next to me because I've been working on MMU stuff on the test bench. But I will be happy to update that when I swap the boards out on the test bench, if anybody's interested.
Nice. Yeah, so Grubby over there, he's been porting over getting the MMU2S working on the SKR 1.4. So, which opens up what you're opening up a third serial port and doing all that fancy stuff that.
Yeah. You're basically, because with the TFT you have the Wi-Fi module on the TFT itself. So I'm basically hijacking the third serial port that's supposed to be for the Wi-Fi module on the SKR board to use the to be a serial port for the MMU2 instead.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working out quite nicely. So.
The MMU2 should work better on the SKR BT002 because it already has the pin out.
Yes.
How to make it work is another thing. So I have 2 MMU2s sitting here. I could connect them, but my level of patience with the MMU2s has drifted quite far away from having any left. Super Pinda probe slower. No, this is just my default probing speed. I didn't change probing speed at all. So.
Yeah. So the nice thing about the BTT board, or the 002 board, is they did provide dedicated pins in that EXP3 connector that the 1.4 or the V1.X boards don't have. And the reason they can do that is because that board uses a different chip that has a fourth serial channel on it that the LPC chips don't have. So that allows you to get that option. So that it's actually the same chip family that's on the SKR Pro. So the connection between the BTT board and the MME2 and the SKR Pro and the MME2 are essentially the same. So.
Yeah, look at that. It's printing, and it's... Is it too low? Just a hair too low. Tune. Probes the offset. Bring that down just a hair. Boom. There we go. Oh, yeah, so 3.9.2. So this is running Marlin. So this is running stock Marlin, no Prusa firmware, no nothing. Yeah. Double click for baby stepping is enabled. What? Oh, it's enabled on here too. I didn't know you can double click and go to Z probe offset. The things I learned. Hey, that layer looks good. Wow. So yeah, so Scott, basically, yeah, that's the reason mine's slower is because I've already set it slower on the stock Marlin. The Prusa speeds, we did the Prusa speeds, and I was not getting consistent probing with it. Oh gosh, I'm connected, but yeah, it's going to be a while. You will not see that Prusa XL until probably, I'm guessing, end of next year. Right now, with the way the world is, getting components and getting all those things done right now, it's not in Prusa's interest to start pumping out a brand new printer. And plus, they added new things, so they're going to have the tool changers added. So no more development time. And I don't know which tool changer they're adding. So that's the other question: is are they going to use E3D's tool changer, or are they going to make their own open source tool changer that runs on their firmware? Because you got to remember, E3D's tool changer and everything that their tool changer is based on Duet, and has not been ported to anything else. I've never seen anyone use the Marlin. Oh, look how flat that first layer is. I'll have to take a picture of that. That's nice. So yeah, I haven't seen anyone use the Marlin and tool changing yet. That's not to say someone hasn't. It just you probably have to talk to Keith. Keith has probably seen someone do it, since he actually is a developer for Marlin. He's like the super bookkeeper slash yeah. Clipper probably helps. It exists, but it's not popular. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, the Core XY market is stacked. I mean, DIY Core, Rail Core, Daedalus, what's that one? Next Core, Chris Lane's
Voron or the XY?
The Voron Zero. Railcore Mini's coming out soon. Tool Changers, Core XY. Boy. I mean, there is just a ton of Core XY, so. Yeah, so many good ones. What's up, Dave? Well, I'm on the actual channel. Yeah, the Hevort. You know what? That is a good first layer.
Chris, I feel bad for Ryan Thor, but at the beginning of the stream, he was asking what's happening with the loss bot.
It's sitting right there, but first is stuff that I actually know how to work on. CR30. Oh, CR30 is Core XY, yeah. At a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
the other one, the CR6, they have a Core XY coming. There's also Ymir's coming out. Yeah, Ender 6. Ymir's coming out from Viking, and Alien 3D is working on the Tesseract. God, I mean, just the list of the number of people who have that coming out, it's crazy. Mark John, I do have my Ender 5. It's sitting on the shelf over there. I've basically boycotted Creality, and I stripped everything off of it. So, Ryan Thorpe, it is eventually going to get there. Right now, it's getting it running to where I like it and seeing how good I can make a profile for it in Idea Maker. Yeah, Raise isn't Core XY. It's the same setup as Ultimaker. So it's a HBot, I believe. Yeah. Jacob, I don't like that. Multiple times have they disrespected developers. I mean, recently they had a tirade on the Kura developers because Kura wouldn't bend over backwards and make changes for the CR30. Kura is run by Ultimaker, and it's open source, but that doesn't mean the developers need to, like, you know, and they're literally calling them out, like sharing like things like you should all like boycott Kura now because Kura won't do these changes, and they continue to do this, and it's slowly got to me. Like, every printer would release, they would never release source for it. Eventually people complain, and eventually, I mean, this Ender 5 was that way, the Ender 5 Plus was that way, the CR6 SE still doesn't have source code, the CR60 it still hasn't finished shipping Kickstarters, and they have another Kickstarter out. It's just, you know, hey, now, I have a girlfriend, and she's awesome.
Much better looking than that one. Not to mention a hell of a lot nicer.
Yeah, it is real. Keith works for Marlin. I mean, he works with the Marlin project. So it you know, they use Marlin, but they don't push code back to Marlin. They don't contribute to Marlin source. And they also don't even give you their source code so that you can, you know, that they can verify it. So yeah, trying to code Ninth, but they're not. Marlin's not trying to code these printers. Marlin hands the code off to Creality. Creality uses it, and then Creality wants Marlin to fix stuff for them. Like, they're not the only game, you know. Well, they're one of the largest, if not the largest, players in the game. So, all right, the flow was a little low. So tune and flow. Oh yeah, that's why. I don't have this one set up on there besides for CFPTG. This is the first time I printed PLA on this printer ever since I got it. Like, when I got this printer, I bought it as a stock Mark III to print parts in CFPTG. So it has never printed PLA on purpose. It's printed regular PETG. Oh no, we're gonna hide that one, Ryan. I don't want to be disrespectful to them. Like, there's the people that they have them, and they're doing what they want to do, and that's fine. I'm one of those people who believes in, I spend my money with the companies that I believe in. If I don't believe in a company, I won't spend my money with them. I won't push them. I won't, you know, do anything for their products. So, like, if I make profiles, they are never going to be for Creality products, you know, an Idea Maker. It's going to be any Cubic products, and again, all these other companies also don't have the best respect for open source. Some are better than others, but it's just, you know, 'tis what it is. So who do you like? Oh, I mean, I like BQ for the most part, Big Tree Tech. They tend to be pretty good about releasing source and being open source. I also enjoy the printers from Creativity. They have a really cool Core XY printer I want to test out. I don't mind any Cubic. I think they do cool things. Looks like the alternate command's only called parallel. Yeah, it's just two rails that cross each other in an X. So X and Y movements are just the whole assembly. Yeah, TiVo doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it's, you know, definitely Prusa. They also have strikes on them from me for open source. You have to release a bill of materials. They'd never release a bill of materials. Yep, the Creativity board looks cool. Homer. Yeah, there isn't a company that I haven't dissed on, and like I may diss a lot of companies, but a lot of it's private. The only time it comes out in public is when I've already contacted them in private, or just something that can't not be said. Like there are certain things that piss me off about certain companies and what they do, and it needs to be said. When I have issues with a product, I always contact the manufacturer first. Yeah. Again, the E3D issue. I contacted E3D. I contacted Sanjay himself, to where he said there were no issues. And then all of a sudden, the next day, there's a blog post saying a bunch of people are taking cell phone pictures, when I sent him high-end scope images that, you know, $150,000 scope was taking. So again, it's you know, the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And again, I still contacted them first. And then there was Twitter War 750 because everyone loves E3D. What's up, Gorgon? So I don't think there's a company. I think the only company I haven't really picked on, at least publicly, is Bondtech, but that's because I don't think I've had an issue with their product that they haven't fixed internally. Like if I see something, they'll usually fix it. David, I tend to use, I have one printer here has a Nozzle X. The rest of them have Slice Engineering, what is it? Slice Engineering vanadium nozzles. Yeah, Bondtech tends to be okay. I mean, they do have their issues. Everyone has their issues. I don't think there's a single company that doesn't have their growing pains. Yep, definitely pricey. I am also excited to see the new Bondtech hot end. The LGX looks freaking gorgeous. Someone. Yeah, LGX Bear. There's so many cool things coming out. He's so smooth. Tune, flow. That happens when you don't actually have a calibrated profile for PLA for this printer. It will definitely, I mean, especially if Hemera can't get their stock in order. The Hemera is very heavy. The LGX is much lighter. Not much lighter. It's lighter. So we are almost done with this print. Auto drop. The auto drop one looks really cool too. Actually, Ryan, I am going to get an ANET printer. So I'm going to get one of the new ANET printers and I'm going to test it. And see if it's still a fire hazard, because I have a in my brain, I'm thinking I haven't heard of an ANET printer causing an issue that's not an old ANET recently. Something in me tells me that they've upgraded those features and fixed it. So I really want to get one, but they're not heatsink on the LG. No, Gorgon. It's milled by the guys at they make it all themselves. So it's milled by Bondtech themselves. Yeah, an ET5 is what I want to get. It's a good. The orbiter is also really cool. It is very similar, but there's only so many ways you can really make a fan shroud that blows one way. And there's different pathings on there. So look at that. So close. It's like about 7 more minutes. I'm actually going to look up something real quick. What was I going to look? Someone said something in it. ET5. Let's go look at that. ET5. Amazon. I think it's on Amazon. ANET ET5. 269. And then the ET4X.
Chris, Eric Beer was asking you.
Oh, am I still printing CF parts? Yes,
what?
I am still printing CF Bear parts.
Because you missed it a couple of times, so...
Yep. Ooh, which one did he have, Chris Travis? Oh, Dave is going to be the first one in America to have that LGX. Guarantee. I'm going to lay in those layers down. The base ET4-5 models use non-silent drivers. Okay. You need an ST-Link V2 to put Marlin on those ANET print. What? Oh, I hate ST-Links. I don't have one. I think Amazon sells it. ST-Link. ST-Link V3? There's also the Triangle Odds Matrix Extruder, which is, doesn't it have like the dotted, pimpled aluminum thing? Man, all these ST-Links are expensive. Keith, link me one that's not $60 because every one of these ST-Links is like $60. Yeah, the ET4 good. Look at that. That's a good looking print. I believe this is on the SD card for Prusa printers. Is Montex? I don't think they send them to any of the big name guys yet. You know, Llama, that would be cheaper.
I don't know. This
That
one
would be
Keith just sent you that's $9.60. I don't know that you can get a BTP board cheaper than that.
Wow, add to cart. Okay. Please triangle, put a wall on the bottom. Yeah. Yeah. Well, all of them have a wall on the bottom. Keith, I don't. AliExpress and I are not friends. I have patience issues when I purchase anything on the internet. If it takes more than a week, I literally just figure it's not arriving, and I'll buy it again from someplace else to get to me faster. I mean, the SKR 1.4 from Big Tree Tech ain't bad. It's not the best board. It's the best board you can get for the price and features.
I think that's probably true with most of the big tree boards. Is for what they cost for what they offer. It's just, but I mean, they basically make a drop-in board for
About everything, yeah.
about everything, and then they also have that.
You're right. That's about right. There is no best board. There's just a lot of boards that you have to find the board that matches what you're going to do. But for me, the main issue with boards is either they don't have the features you want, or they're just so freaking overkill. Like, who doesn't want to do at 3? But I can't justify that much money per board because it's overkill in some areas, and then it doesn't have certain features that I want. So MKS Robin Nano. Yeah, I've never gotten into too many MKS boards. I mean, I've definitely used the Gen L. But now Keith's going to make me buy an MKS Gen L? MKS S Gen L? I don't know. S Gen? V2? They won't protect. Yeah. S Gen L V2. Got it. See, I've been out of the staring at the different boards game. All right, 2 minutes left. Once I found a board that worked.
The GTR, that's the one you need to get.
I have a GTR.
And yours has the M5 with it, or no?
Yeah, of course. I got it from Keith.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, if you were gonna, I would almost use that just to try to build a small CNC. I don't have any need whatsoever for it for a printer, but Jesus Christ, talk about I/O.
Oh, BattleBots tonight. Isn't that what Devin does? Devin does BattleBots? Sorry, Devin, if you're watching.
She does.
I know you don't
She does first robotics.
So yeah, look at that. We have 11 steppers. What is that? 4 plus 6. We have 10 heater cartridges. Thermistors up the butt cheeks.
More fan inputs than you know what to do with.
Yeah, more fan inputs. So, yep. And soldering skills of a potato.
So about on par with mine. I haven't burned anything down yet.
Yeah. And STM 32 F407 IGT6. Yeah. What if you want to run a tool changer with Marlin? This is what this is for. If you want 5 hot ends with 5 heater cartridges and 5 thermistors and 5 fans, plus 4 Z-axis motors, plus XY, yeah, this is your board. It has a Raspberry Pi pinout too, so yeah, that's why I have it. It's here. It is here. I have boards. Should be my slogan. Chris has boards.
Yeah, and I mean, just for comparison, right? So you're going to spend $70 on that whole setup.
Yeah.
Call another $10 for the little Wi-Fi module, because I don't think it comes with the module. I think it still uses their plug-in module. And you're going to buy a Duet 2 Wi-Fi board for $155.
Yeah.
You still need to get their
What's up, Mr. Barry
expansion
Dance?
board to get the additional extruders. So
Tool changer bear.
his crossbar at the top is nothing but just tool heads.
Cocky core tool changer. Oh boy. Man, that top layer is smooth. I think that's the last layer. I don't know how tall it's supposed to be.
I think it's like 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters. It's not very tall. It's pretty thick, or pretty thin.
Oh, one more layer. I thought that was the top. My order delivered today. Thanks. Yay. So I have a printer in the works. It's going to be a Cartesian printer for the simple reason. Bob, you have? Oh, you have the 45-degree adapter that's missing. The bottom plate for the 45-degree adapter. And something else. I sent that out. Let's see, Bob. There's Bob. Yeah, I sent that out. I will check my order. Appreciate the heads up, Mr. Bob. Yeah, I don't know if I want to use that board for anything. That seems a little overkill. Llama. When are you going to build the board? Yeah. Grubby doesn't have a wrench. Ha! Ha! Now you do. Now you're in trouble. Oh, I'm exhausted. These kids got me all hooked on what's that game called? Call of Duty Warzone. Call of Duty. It's free. It's kind of like Fortnite, but Call of Duty. That should be the last layer. Yep. Ta-da! Just gonna snip off this little piece from the end. Bloop. Don't mind the bed. It's destroyed from years of abuse. Look at that top layer. Silky smooth. Oh, that's still very soft. I'm just warping the print as I'm trying to peel it off this hot bed.
Yeah, PLA, you have to let the bed cool before it pops off without bending.
Oh. All right. First layer was flat. First layer was very flat. Top layer is also very flat and smooth. Even though this is not a tuned profile for this printer, I've used the
looks nice.
Use the profile for that printer.
Hey Dave, what about having Jason drop ship? I know that Orlando has been doing that recently with some of the bear kits, where you still order through his site, but he just has Jason drop ship it to the customer. I don't know, it might be something worth exploring because it keeps you from having to pay for the shipping to you and stocking.
I like it. Batman. Yeah, so there's our. Whoop! Hide my eyeballs. That way, focus on the hand. There it is.
Should you try to wait for it to cool down and see the number for the Pinda?
No, we can run it warm now. And motion and probe test.
David Kra want to know if you are running.
Let's see. No ironing. Homing first. Okay. Probe test. I'll take some pictures and send them to the interwebs. And the bottom of the print. I just turn it the right way so it's not upside down battering. Okay. But it didn't push out the numbers because there's it won't clear the message on the screen. The message on the screen says print is complete, and it just says print is complete. Nope, I am done printing. But I'm going to post this right now to the, what is that thing called? To Twitter. Twitter. All right. Oh, Barbara. I typed Batarang and it corrected it to Barbara. Nope. Batarang. Printed on the SKR Bear with the new at Prusa 3D Super Pinda. Deviation was 0.006 and improved to 0.001. First print looks sexy top and bottom. Boom.
Check Greg Maker Corner comment.
Greg's Maker Corner. So I'd say definitely improvement, but still suffers from a tiny bit of drift. I would say less than that. Because it went from 0.001, from 0.006 was the initial probe to 0.0001, and then the 2 times I've done the deviation test, it's been 0.0019 and 0.001 something. What's up, Llama?
What's up? Hey, I got kind of a seriously kind of weird question for you.
Oh, sure.
When you, and this is going to be funny, everyone's going to laugh. When you tune a slicer for a printer, what do you usually do? What are your steps?
Oh boy, I'm the weird guy.
Because here's the reason I'm asking. I have never tuned a profile to any of my printers. I've just kind of guessed and slapped crap, and when I get it halfway decent, I just keep going. Because usually by the time I get it halfway decent, I mean, it's me. So now that it's halfway decent, I got to fix it. So I never, and I was actually thinking about finally truly tuning it for that. And I never have. I've never fully tuned, like really.
Well, the main thing when I tune a profile is I start with a 40 millimeter cube, and I do all the extrusion tests and everything. So I do a single wall 40 millimeter cube, check, to make sure my extrusion multiplier is correct, to make sure. I'll print a non-hollow one, and it'll be like, okay, is it 40, 40, 40? Okay, that's good. And then it's just checking retractions. So I don't print a retraction test. Like normally when I print something to test, I'll print an actual object. So I'll print, something with a lot of tall spires, something that has like, these minis from Vedran have the legs. So if they're stringing in there. So yeah. It's just printing things and then making sure the retractions are better. And that's just weird. I wish there was a way to really put into on like pen and paper how to define probe or how to define like calibrating your printer profiles to the printer. Some things are instinct, like, okay, this is a direct drive, this is a Bowden. I know my retractions on the Bowden are probably going to be around 5 millimeters or, a little bit lower or maybe higher. And I know my direct drive is going to be this. So you just kind of learn those things through doing it. So it's really hard to like explain to people like why I started with that base value. That base value is because I've printed so much stupid shit.
Yeah. So you're doing the same thing I am. You're doing it by winging a prayer mostly.
Yep. All right, probe test.
But I do the same thing. I mean, it's funny, but believe it or not, the pumpkin, the ANET, I'm actually just using the CR10 profile that I slowed down a little bit because, it's a big Hemera heavy-duty hot end, so it weighs a buttload. I slowed it down a little bit, and I lowered the tractions. And literally, that's all I ever did to it. It's the stock ANET or the stock Creality CR10 profile from Idea Maker.
Yeah. Let's see. Deviation is 0.0012. So it's always it looks like it doesn't change much. Yeah. So Greg, now the one thing is this print sheet is not flat. So this Ulti-Stick sheet that I printed on has quite a bit of ripping from being abused.
No.
So this is not the flattest sheet that I have right now, because the dead center of this sheet, where the PI is missing little chunks here and there. But looking at the actual print, it also started lower, and I raised it slightly because it was too low. So it's really hard to guess. But yeah, I do tend to rip my parts off while hot, and it tends to, the coating isn't what it's measuring. It's measuring that steel sheet under. So I really wish I had a piece of glass, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. After what we saw you just do with that sheet, trying to tear the print off while hot, I think you might pull a Joel on a piece of glass and take a chunk out of it.
If I did glass, I'd put Vision Miner on it or hairspray.
Chris,
I know how to use glass.
Said you want to know your case. What case are you using for the bear and SKR?
If you go to the SKR project, it's the case that's mentioned in the README. Yeah, Dave, the real question... White Elf, I have to read the email on how to do that, but I do want to do something for the White Elephant Party thingy.
43 colors is not enough, Dave. Make more.
Yeah, I need 64 colors.
I need 430 colors. Then you can take a break.
I mean, I'd be happy with 256.
Yeah, 256. One for every HTML number.
I'm telling you, and see, this is what I'm thinking. If somebody could really crack the problem of CMYWK, specifically mixing filaments well with FDM, that would. I mean, and there's ways to do it.
That's up for Dave. Dave will do it.
There's a way to do it. It just requires a very volcano length hot end with 5 inputs on it, which I don't think anybody wants to do.
I think Llama does.
Then somebody like Dave could just because he's got pure colors.
One freaking color, 6 colors.
I actually bought materials to try to mock one up, but my silver soldering skills were not up to the task of doing very thin stainless steel.
1,000 squirrels.
I want Jesse in PTG. All right, we did it. So
he's working on it.
Print worked. It is shiny and flat, and also flat on that side. I'm going to do more tests to see if it still works good, and if I had to change any deviations. So I'll keep that posted on the Twitterverse. Other than that, pretty good. See, the only rule is 90% printed and can fit in a box 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot or smaller. Wire it? You sound like projects. So, cool. Tweak the Z then test. Let me tweak your Z.
I mean, in theory,
configuration.
The adjustment of the Z height, the Z offset should affect the M48 command, because the M48 is just
there was issues with it
with itself.
No, that's just the save button.
That sounded like a pissed off printer.
No, that was me hitting save settings.
It's payback for my kid screaming in his ear all the time.
Just in 3D, this is the first printer to get an upgrade. I have not upgraded any of them. I have 4 probes. This is number 1. So I changed the Z offset 0.001281. So if that helps any. Okay, on that note, this stream is over. This is how to change your Pinda to a Super Pinda and set up in Marlin and first print. It worked. I'm happy. The world is happy. Maybe I will jump over to the FDM Lounge stream because I think people want to hang out. So
Will you
head
post
over.
the link? in the chat?
There's no link. I can't start to another StreamYard yet.
Yeah, you can.
Because I'm in. I can. Can I do that from here?
I think so.
StreamYard. I can create a broadcast in the background.
Yep.
All
you
right.
just can't actually start it up. You got to time it so it starts after you end this one.
Let's see. Thursday shenanigans. I can't see if I'm typing that correctly.
I think TH3D Timmy is streaming right now too.
Oh, good. Hanging out. And schedule for later. It is 7:01, so I'll set it for 7:15 p.m. today.
Central
Upload a
time.
thumbnail. Central time, yeah. And no problem, Justin 3D.
An hour after real time.
Can I watch BattleBots from my Hulu?
If I remember correctly, David was mentioning was in Discovery.
What channel is that on? Is that on
Discovery.
Sci-Fi still?
On Discovery Channel, I think.
All right, here's the YouTube link for the FDM. No problem, Gorgon. Good night to you. There's the link to the other stream. I will see if Hulu has the Discovery. Oh no, Discovery Channel's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I have Discovery anymore either.
Yeah, I like Discovery.
Way back.
So I have no way of watching it if I wanted to.
You can watch it on stream anyways. Afterward. I mean, not live, but you can watch it after then.
Gotcha. Cool.
Discovery streams everything later.
Good night.
By their channel.
Oh, it's streaming on their website. Okay, I will check that out too. So, adios. Good night. Buy your Super Pindas. Eat your vitamins. Stay out of trouble.